During those hours, King Charles III's authorization was not punishment. It was explanation. The regal quiet has broken. Music, on a phone, and maybe going down these rabbit holes, and before you know it, a queue has been formed behind the royal walls in less than a day. Crossed, and there are irreversible repercussions this time. My spouse and kids would accompany me. At this moment, they are returning to the Music UK, and they will miss everything. According to sources, Prince Harry pushed too far, transforming personal complaints into a planned pressure campaign that the palace now refers to as a dirty conflict. Music. Charles expressed his hope that others could find inspiration in his story. What was presented as a negotiation is turning out to be legal scheming, coercion, and purported fraud. The reaction is no longer nuanced. There is a long-term prohibition on the table to engage in therapy or at the very least have more conversations regarding formally verified, which begs the issue of how far this fight will go. Prince Harry's daring action. Coercion or reconciliation? What appears to be an appeal for inside the palace, reconciliation is seen as something much more perilous. As per explosive, Prince Harry has subtly drawn a boundary in the sand during briefings. According to insiders, the message is plain. Let's either I return to the royal system or the conflict goes on. For Harry, this is presented as maturity, even selflessness. According to reports, he has volunteered to stop his persistent legal disputes with the British media. However, there is a condition attached, and that condition is subject to change. Everything. He desires the restoration of his regal position. From Harry's perspective, this is an olive branch. It seems like compulsion from the palace's point of view. What Harry refers to as compromise. According to reports, the institution views music as pressure disguised as tranquility. It's been made worse by the time. As this suggestion emerged, fresh events in the courtroom exploded like a bomb. The extremely lawful strategy Harry used to fight the tabloids is currently being closely examined. Claims related to his camp includes deceit, evidence manipulation, and collaboration with highly dubious numbers. All of a sudden, this goes beyond privacy and press reform, music. Some people within the palace think it might be a crime scene. For this reason, King Talk of Peace is reported to have little effect on Charles. This is not being read by the king as an agreement between a parent and son. According to reports, he sees it as a pattern of actions that have gone too far. But Harry is certain that he is still in a powerful position. According to royal analysts, he sincerely thinks he can work out a return. Back into power, back into duty, and back into significance. However, that belief can have deeper roots than just strategy. In order to comprehend the rage behind the castle doors, according to insiders, you need to comprehend Harry's perspective. Music. This is not viewed as a composed, logical bargaining. It's been characterized as an entitlement-driven emotional impasse. Harry continues to act as though he thinks the monarchy should submit to him, according to his detractors. Individually, he has never really let go of the half-in, half-out fantasy, according to sources. And this week, friendly media figures subtly brought up that dream once more. The pitch was framed with care. Harry would assist, but he wouldn't come back completely. He would intervene during providing support during a difficult time while his father fights sickness and senior royals deal with their own health issues. Despite living in California, friends of the Duke said that Harry misses the structure, the automatic respect, the order of royal life, and the music that accompanied his title. Relevance in Hollywood is something that must be continuously earned. The situation in Windsor is inherited and long-lasting. Some music claims that Harry misses that assurance more than he acknowledges. Because of this belief, he has made the risky assumption that the royal family requires him, that the institution will give in when it is weak. However, this inside the palace walls, alarm has been set off by assumption. Because of what Harry is making a proposal is not beneficial. It's dangerous. His desired hybrid role is viewed as a Trojan horse. You cannot sign business contracts and be a working royal at the same time, making documentaries and making money out of personal family suffering. That line hasn't changed since it was drawn years ago. That rule was rendered unbreakable by Queen Elizabeth. No exceptions. Harry, however, doesn't seem to want to acknowledge that fact. Additionally, while king according to music insiders, Prince William is the true unchangeable force in this situation, despite Charles's frustration. To William, the thought of Harry coming back is unsettling. It's unnerving. He perceives it as revisiting scars that almost brought the family to ruin. He believes that Harry is not a rescuer. He is a risk. The sentiment is harsh but evident behind closed doors. Palace senior officials and employees would prefer to take on more work than to bring chaos back. Within, Harry's help is not what they want. Stability is what they desire. Music, above all, they desire quiet. Harry's offer isn't free, though. It arrives a formal ceasefire in return for reinstatement, which poses a threat beneath the surface. It would seem reasonable to him. It sounds like leverage to the king. What does Harry's peace dossier contain, then? The Atlantic. To find out, keep watching. The ceasefire's covert conflict. Reports from Harry supporters state that a startling pledge was discreetly made to royal watches. The Duke of Sussex is reported to have made a personal vow in a beautiful magazine feature. No more lawsuits in opposition to the British media. It sounds peaceful when carefully framed. A son, music, relieving tension, a man opting for peace over confrontation. However, when you look closer, the offer's form shifts. Peace is not what this is. Leverage is what it is. When the gentle words are removed, Harry's message to the palace becomes clear. Get my status back. Put my security back. Put me back in my place. And I'll cease dragging the royal family through in exchange. Headlines and courtrooms. Refuse, and the legal conflict will go on. It's not a present. Under the guise of mercy, it is a demand. Harry's lawsuits lasted for years. Have accomplished more than just opposing tabloids. Every case has brought the monarchy to the public's attention. Emails from palace, music, secret agreements and intimate conversations. The crown is pushed closer to the witness stand with each court filing. Every hearing results in a fresh round of stories, harm, and reminders of the rift within the family. Harry is aware of this. He is also aware of his father's dislike of conflict. Harry is placing a wager on fatigue. He thinks he can force his father to make a concession by vowing to keep quiet. That the monarch, exhausted by disease, controversy, and pressure, will determine that allowing Harry to return will be less expensive than unending legal disputes. It seems clever on paper. Actually, when examined closely, it crumbles. The pledge is meaningless in and of itself. Critics draw attention to the glaring shortcoming. Almost every significant media organization worth suing has already been sued by Harry. There are not many targets remain. Pledging to refrain from filing additional cases after exhausting the previous ones, nothing is altered. There is nothing left to burn, thus the fires are already out. The harm has already been done. The vow reveals Harry's perspective on responsibility. There has never been a condition on service to the crown. The royals they serve not because it helps them personally, but because it is expected of them. Harry turns that notion on its head. In essence, his offer is a deal. I'll act appropriately if you give me a prize. By linking good deeds to self-interest, Harry reveals an underlying issue. He doesn't have a regal mindset. He has a contractor's mindset. It's all transactional. It's all negotiable. Duty turns into money. Payment is made through silence. Heritage becomes an agreement. This is something that King Charles is aware of. Decades of public, he's learned one hard rule from life. Once you succumb to pressure, you invite later, there would be increasing pressure. What prevents the next Harry from being welcomed back under threat? Demand. When relevance wanes, what happens? For this reason, the palace's reaction has been quiet, not perplexity, not reluctance. Quiet. Because interacting with the offer would give it legitimacy. Insiders claim the king is aware of the threat, and it would be a sign of weakness. The palace hasn't changed for another reason. Harry's sudden yearning for tranquility is hardly a sign of strength. Fear is the source of it. His own legal strategies are raising serious concerns as he puts pressure on his father. Correcting the media is no longer the goal of this. Legal experts are starting to characterize his campaign as being more sinister. Harry says he is combating false information. However, he is said to have sided with those whose reputations are controversial in order to combat it. Music. Techniques that were previously concealed are now being investigated. Once disregarded, connections are being questioned. And he is not the end of the stain. It puts the entire organization. Advisors whisper behind closed doors that time is crucial. Files are moved. Statements become more rigid. Alliances fall apart. What appeared to be a family conflict now, music, seems methodical, calculated, and harsh, with measured repercussions. Not in expressions of regret, but in rulings, documentation, and public disclosure. Since as inquiry increases, attention subtly shifts to William's legal concerns, problems he cannot fight, and there is still one terrifying question. What secret link connects everything? Collectively, you'll be shocked at the response. The royal scandal was revealed. Royal circles have been rocked by the High Court's most recent revelations. Given the responsibility of defending a member of the monarchy, Prince Harry's personal legal team now confronts explosive accusations of fraud, conspiracy, and dishonesty. These words are not usually associated with monarchy. They belong in crime reports, not in the corridors of the palace. According to sources, the team may have engaged in behaviors that are on the verge of criminal activity, from aggressive legal methods to fabricated documents to payouts for falsified statements from witnesses. Gavin, a crucial witness, is involved in the most concerning case. Burroughs, a private investigator, was supposed to be Harry's main weapon against the Daily Mail. However, in a startling turn of events, Burroughs has split the ranks. He now alleges that a crucial witness statement signed by him was falsified, music, and that he was frightened and under pressure to keep quiet. The circumstances worsen to the point that his own attorneys demand that he testify virtually from a secret location out of concern for his security. Take a moment to pause. A witness in a legal proceeding due to threats from the same gang, a prince of the realm is allegedly hiding in a safe house, protecting him. It serves as a sobering reminder that in the struggle for power, truth, and privilege is not a barrier. The inconsistencies don't end there. Harry officially denounces journalistic interference and moral decay, yet his personal behavior shows a glaringly distinct image. According to reports, his group has hired Graham Johnson, a convicted phone hacker and former News of the World reporter. Johnson, a man who has a criminal record for violating privacy, music, was put on a £5,000 monthly retainer including costs for investigating the music press. The irony is heartbreaking. The same offenses that Harry says destroyed his life are now being devoted to his duty. Additionally, reports indicate that Harry has worked extensively with groups like Bind Times, condemned for corruption and strategies that damage one's reputation. Commentators have frankly recounted the circumstances. Harry is bartering with the pigs in the mud. Royal honor for victory at nearly any expense. Insiders claim that this is the unclean conflict that King Charles won't support. The palace sees it as a moral argument rather than an act of righteous advocacy. Slide. A prince who once stood for honesty is now involved with well-known offenders in an effort to win judicial battles. Harry's behavior stands in sharp contrast to the monarchy's values, has becoming much more noticeable as the court date approaches. As Harry delves deeper through strong legal tactics and covert partnerships, Prince William is taking a completely different route, concentrating on responsibility, stability, and public service. Where Harry gets entangled in secret strategy, William is taking the lead and using openness and obvious effort to shape the future of the monarchy. Insiders claim that this contrast emphasizes Harry's vulnerability. Present situation. Harry, according to observers, appears stuck in a mindset where any means are justified in order to achieve success. He feels that in order to defend himself, his legal struggle is essential. Himself and his family, but the publicity is disastrous. Giving criminals money to combat the media, even his most ardent supporters find it difficult to rationalize publicly condemning encroachment. Essentially, every action he takes and partnership he makes exacerbates the conflict between his own aspirations and those of others. Of nobility. In order to completely understand the scope of Harry's situation, music, it is necessary to see past the dark London courtrooms and think about the wider ramifications for the royal family. His legal disputes have ended. Contained. They have an impact on the family's reputation and internal trust. Palace, as well as the succession plan. The court records, testimonies from witnesses, and dubious transactions depict a prince fighting a personal battle that keeps him more and more cut off from the organization he says he works for. Harry entangled the family in deception, and despite conspiracy theories, William and Kate were adept at using strategic contrast. What were they actually doing? Music. Pay attention. Drama is silenced by duty. They didn't say anything. They did not employ a group of attorneys. They just carried on with their work. The two brothers' differences could not have been more impressive. Harry went back to the High Court to carry on his long-running, acrimonious conflict with the Prince. William was photographed by the British press doing something subtly potent. Hands in the ground, trimming trees, wearing a plain flat cap during a farm visit. That picture conveys more than words ever could. You have a prince who is preoccupied with his complaints on one side, utilizing phone hacking, media leaks, and legal strategies to combat a conflict rooted in previous injuries. On the other hand, the future king is demonstrating what real responsibility entails by being present and serving others, concentrating on everyday life and bringing attention to communities that are frequently disregarded. William was occupied with grounding himself in the real world. Harry was occupied with resentment. Then there was Catherine, the Princess of Wales. If William contributed humility and concentration, Catherine brought effortless charm and elegance. She threw a lavish reception at Windsor Castle for the Red Roses, a British women's rugby team, commemorating their winning the World Cup. The incident by itself would have garnered media attention, but it was her poise that enthralled everyone. A tiny but significant element caught the attention of onlookers. She was a driver. Herself to the castle, music, emerged with an umbrella, dressed in a stylish Alexander McQueen suit and stilettos, and with a wide, sincere smile on her face, she entered with ease. No drama, no theatrics, calm authority, gentleness, elegance, and music. This is the application of the Grey Rock approach. For those who don't know, the Grey Rock method is a psychological tactic, utilized to counteract narcissists and drama seekers. Music. You become uninterested, unresponsive, a Grey Rock. You don't contribute to the mayhem. You are solid and sturdy, just being. That Grey Rock, better yet, granite, is now William and Catherine. They have brought peaceful, purposeful spirit into the royal area. They declined to let Harry's most recent struggle in court. Through interacting with communities, farmers, and advocates such as the Red Roses, they sent a subtle but clear message. We are constructing, commemorating, and serving. You are involved in disputes and disputes. The genius of this strategy is its ease of use. Music. Harry is an attention seeker. Conflict is his oxygen. His narrative of victimization is fueled by every court case, music media leak, and dramatic assertion. Unfairness. However, William and Catherine don't care. They don't respond. They do not participate. Harry is insignificant because of their composure. In the eyes of the public, they are an image of continuity, stability, and purpose. As Harry and Meghan are with each unfulfilled request, their power diminishes and they become more marginalized. Provocation. Pundits have been direct. Harry and Meghan, formerly at the center of royal headlines, are turning into music footnotes. Before Meghan, Harry's active royal career lasted just 2 years. Arrived, and even that window seems like a small blur now. Their efforts to command attention or alter their historical position are disappearing in the face of genuine labor and grounded leadership. It appears that the worst penalty is indifference. The palace doesn't have to formally reject both Harry's legal threats and his peace dossier. Quietness is the denial. The response is action. As Harry battles in court and William and Catherine stay on the castle terraces, staring past him in the hopes that someone will notice. Unwavering and steadfast. Their emphasis on duty, family, and service is exceptional. Every lawsuit, every attention-seeking appeal. The stakes could not be higher and the contrast could not be more obvious. Greater. Harry clings to controversy every day. The royal music family fortifies its peaceful stronghold of purpose, making him more vulnerable, irrelevant, and exposed. Furthermore, reputable expert analysis indicates that Harry is in danger of losing the lawsuit. Now let's explore the details and learn how this might actually occur. Music. Prince Harry's legal troubles. Within the courtroom, Prince Harry is treading carefully. What started out as an intense conflict with the British media is now changing against him, posing a threat to everything he has battled for. The legal strategies, originally intended to instill fear in tabloids, are backfiring, and the repercussions could be considerably worse than a case that is unsuccessful. References: let's say Harry thought he had the sword of truth when he joined this battle. However, as the trial draws to a close, it appears he may have inadvertently consumed a poison chalice. He intended to prosecute the media in order to reveal what he said were unethical and invasive methods. Rather, insiders claim that he has scrutinized his own credibility closely. The accusations made against his team are not insignificant errors. They go right to the heart of moral and legal behavior. Claims of dishonesty, fraud, and conspiracy are revealed in reports, along with false emails and payments connected to gathering of evidence. The harm might go much beyond the courtroom if even some of these accusations are validated. Humiliation. For Harry, music, the stakes go beyond legal fees. It might jeopardize his reputation, his power, and even his tenuous ties to the monarchy. Gavin Burrows, a private investigator, serves as an example of the danger. Once a Burrows, a crucial Harry witness, now asserts that a critical statement ascribed to him was fabricated, that Harry's team intimidated and put pressure on him, and that his signature was forged. His attorneys demand that he, because of safety concerns, testify from a secure location. Assume that a witness is hiding from those defending the prince in a royal court case out of fear for his integrity and life. Music. The very proof that was meant to guarantee triumph could instead turn into the linchpin of catastrophe as the inconsistencies become more pronounced. Harry has repeatedly denounced journalistic exploitation, dishonesty, and interference. However, his legal activities seem to involved with dubious allies and dubious tactics. The visuals are damning. A prince who claims to uphold justice that could rely on intimidation, misleading testimony, and falsified music statement strategies. Royal observers cautioned that he is currently facing a poisoned chalice, meant to keep him safe, but also able to destroy him. It's a cruel irony. The originally presented as a fight for music truth, the legal struggle has become a mirror reflecting the dangers of unbridled ambition and poorly considered tactics. Every motion, sound, paper, and every alliances now have serious repercussions. Observers observe that the greater the stakes, there is less opportunity for mistakes. In Harry's instance, even minor errors could have catastrophic consequences. Can a royal now endure a trial where could the very evidence intended to support him end up being his undoing? Watch this space as we investigate the shadows concealed beneath each document and statement. Harry's nightmare in law. The stakes are quite high, and Prince Harry is set to take the stand. To put it plainly, as a legal insider, one lie, Harry, and you're a perjurer. Perjury is a crime in the United Kingdom. Criminal act that carries a lengthy prison sentence. Personal truth doesn't matter in court. Count. Your word is insufficient on its own. Additionally, Harry's version of events contains frequently conflicted with the facts. Cross-examination won't be kind to him. He'll take a seat across from some of the world's most astute forensic attorneys. Professionals skilled at eliminating any inconsistencies, every memory lapse and inconsistency between his testimony and memoirs. Each slip, each hesitancy could be a trap. The palace is aware of the threat. Those who are closest to, according to reports, the monarchy is aware of Harry's limitations. It is stated that music causes him to lose his mind when under strain, and that there is fear. A single legal error might escalate this music family dispute into a criminal inquiry. And the repercussions wouldn't end there. Harry's legal issues might get worse. Into a serious constitutional dilemma. Music. This is rarely covered by the mainstream media. Angle. Here's the crucial point, though. Harry continues to serve as a state councillor, one among the very few senior royals who have the legal authority to succeed the king in the event that Charles is unable to do so. That position requires perfect judgment, unwavering music purity, and a flawless legal history. However, given the accusations surrounding Harry, it is practically impossible to defend. How can the monarch trust someone who has been accused of dishonesty, fraud, and cooperation with criminals to serve as his deputy? Harry, this is the poison chalice, has made his own brew. What he meant to be a victory lap, an opportunity to demonstrate he used to be a hero fighting dragons, but he has changed into something much darker. According to reports, the Duke of Sussex has sided with convicted phone hackers like Graham in his quest for justice. Johnson, negotiating unclear waters and using strategies he once said hate. Harry has turned into the exact thing in an attempt to eliminate perceived adversaries. He was formerly against it. A truth manipulator who is prepared to violate privacy for selfish gain. The fact that King Charles declined to meet him is hardly an insult. It is shielding. Harry is radioactive now. Any connection to him during these, he faces accusations that could contaminate the crown through music. What Harry, everything he once held dear, could suddenly be destroyed by an idea that would elevate his status. The distinction between ambition and irresponsibility becomes hazy in this courtroom drama. Harry's attempt to negotiate a half-in, half-out return, his peace dossier, the legal music ceasefire appears to be a calculated risk. Power, however, does not bargain with unclean hands. Harry has attempted to reintegrate into royal life by using threats. Revealed himself. This is more than just a legal dispute. It's an integrity test. Harry stated that he wished to purify the media. However, in order to achieve that objective, he allegedly teamed up with criminals, waded through a fraud and engaged in a high-stakes manipulation game. The lesson is clear. The path to hell is paved with risky alliances and well-meaning intentions. Prince William and the King have not expelled him out of harshness or retaliation. They have behaved in a way that necessity. Someone who drags the underworld into the family is not welcome. Via the gates of the palace, music. Harry had heroic dreams. Rather, he is headed toward being a warning story that serves as a reminder that reputation can be damaged by careless options can disappear in an instant. What will happen to Harry in the midst of all of this if the palace wins out in the end? Let's examine which royals experienced comparable storms throughout history. Keep an eye out. The impact of exile. Why do rebellious royals fade? For royals who depart the organization only to turn against it from a distance, history provides a clear warning. The narrative seldom works out. Initially, it bursts in loud noises, interviews, legal actions, and audacious declarations as well as media spectacles. However, that first storm nearly invariably slips into seclusion, diminishing impact, and finally quiet. This quiet pattern, known to historians as the exile effect, has claimed more royals than most people can recall. Royal exile is by no means a contemporary occurrence. King Edward VIII abdicated the throne in 1936 in order to wed Wallis Simpson, thinking he could live freely while maintaining the relevance of music. The Globe initially kept a close eye on him. He conducted interviews, offered political commentary, and pretended in private that his significance persisted. However, the monarchy moved on without him. Access disappeared, invitations ceased, and his voice became weaker. At the conclusion of his life, Edward was primarily recognized as of history, renowned, music, but helpless. Even Princess Diana frequently considered an exception. It really serves as an example of the rule. Despite being divorced and distant, she never attacked the monarchy as a system. She was cautious, methodical, and personal in her criticism. That self-control shielded her public empathy and maintained her relevance. The exile effect penalizes individuals who not the people who gently withdraw, but the crown itself. The pattern is supported by other examples. Peter, Princess Margaret's ex-lover, after being thrown out due to controversy, Townsend attempted to continue his influence overseas. However, he soon faded without royal support. Rarely does the monarchy pursue exiles. It just survives as they deteriorate. However, Prince Harry's circumstances are more unstable in the past. He didn't simply walk away. He launched an assault. He issued a challenge. The palace, the press, and the inherent duty system, portraying music as a morally crooked while continuing to want recognition. Rebellion in conjunction with demand has often shown itself to be deadly to sustained relevance. The banishment, music. The effect progresses in predictable phases. Noise, lawsuits, and memoirs come first. Documentaries and headlines all the time. Resistance and silence from the palace, denied entry, and institutional apathy. Erosion then begins to occur. Weariness of the public, decreased influence, and diminishing credibility. At last, there is a silent disappearance, fading into the background without any fanfare or dramatic confrontation. As of today, music Prince Harry appears to be approaching the last phase. The palace doesn't respond. The king doesn't participate. In public, Prince William continues to prioritize his family and responsibilities. Royal timetables proceed without interruption. He is not opposed by the institution. It just lasts longer. The past is evident. Instead of debating, the monarchy survives by refusing to have fun. Once the monarchy stops opening doors, even royal blood cannot ensure long-term importance. Former royals, anyone questioned the establishment, had to learn the hard way. Once, those doors were closed. Seldom reopen. In order to protect the monarchy from these threats, should King Charles deprive Harry of his remaining titles? Accusations of fraud? Please share your ideas in the comments section. Remember to subscribe and like.